Well, today we're sitting with Professor Dr. Martin Pohl. He is the president of the Maastricht University, and welcome to Breaking Maas today. Today we're going to have a sort of recap of the academic year. We're going to talk about the past academic year, the future, what's going to come, and the University of Maastricht, and then also the internationalization of Maastricht. I mean, you're now the president of the Maastricht University for 3 years, in fact. I mean, it's a very big university with over 16,000 students, 6 faculties, 17 bachelor programs and 56 master programs. And what kind of experience have you made over this time? I mean, you must be tired and exhausted.
Oh, no, I'm not tired, because it's a very exciting place to be, of course. All these different nationalities. I find it very stimulating. And of course, we have, it's not that as a president you run the whole university. There's of course the responsibility of the deans. There are many people who are contributing to our success. And it's fun to be in sort of a coordinating function of this.
But I mean, of course, the university is also very young. It's 37 to 30 years old.
38 years. Right?
38 years old, excuse me. And of course, it's also among the top 100 worldwide, according to the Times Higher Education, which is quite an achievement. 56 also in social sciences. And Professor Mark Post, of course, was the center of attention, let me call it, of the academia in the past academic year. What do these kind of achievements actually mean for the University of Maastricht?
Well, it shows that in a relatively short time we have been able to move significantly ahead on the landscape, internationally renowned, but also have a good standing and a firm ruling in the region. And I think there are a number of explanations for that. I think from the beginning we have chosen a very innovative educational system, problem-based learning. We were one of the first universities outside the English-speaking world on the continent to have an English unless policy, to teach in large amounts in English. And we have also chosen some research areas that of course are very important today. For example, neuroimaging and neuroscience, but also international business. So I think all these factors have contributed that we have risen to the ranks so fast.
How would students, for instance, be able to integrate or to also help you and support you in this kind of research?
Well, for example, we have a very active exchange with the students in the University Council. We also have created what's called a student project team that supports all of these projects and is intrinsically involved. So there are many, many levels where students can engage. We hope that they engage, because in the end they are of course the ones who have to experience this innovation and should be able also to participate in the planning process.
You've just mentioned it, that of course, it's a principle, it's one of the aims to also get international workers here. And I think the University of Maastricht has done already a major step towards this aim. And for instance, currently there's around 50% of the staff and of the students are foreigners. Also, non-Dutch. So you yourself.
Yes.
What do you think when you hear this kind of number? Is this then what you're aiming at? Or is
well, if you are an international university, these are appropriate numbers. So we have almost 50% international students, almost 40% international scientific staff. And if you have such an international atmosphere, it should reflect also not only the student population, but also your role as an employer. And I think that brings an important factor, because as a university we are an important employer in this region for Dutch employees, but also for international employees. So I'm quite happy with these numbers. And as you know, in the recent analysis of the Times Higher Education of the most international universities in the world, we come out on the top 20, on the 15th place, and that's the only Dutch university on this list. So it shows that this link, this natural balance between international themes, international students, but also a good mix between Dutch and international employees, is the right mixture that we have.
Well, talking about internationalization, you yourself, of course, and the joint international vision of the Association of Universities in the Netherlands and the Netherlands Association of Applied Sciences have recently established a scholarship program for foreign students to study in the Netherlands, but also for Dutch students to study outside.
Well, to be specific, we have proposed such a scholarship program to the Minister of Higher Education. They still have to have a decision when it's implemented, how it's implemented, but it's very important that we believe, of course, all the universities, this university does something for mobility of students, incoming and outgoing mobility. As you know, in many of our programs we have mandatory semester abroad, we have big and very exchange programs. But in order to stimulate this even more, we believe that a scholarship program would be a very important element, because other countries have implemented very strong scholarship programs, such as Germany, and in the end, it's also a bit of a European competition, internationalization and international challenge. So we think such scholarship program, and again it's important to say it's not only for students going away, but also for students coming here. It should be a good balance between the two. No brain drain, but brain circulation is an important factor. But as I said, it's a proposal, and we're still awaiting the feedback from the ministry on that.
Of course, well, many Dutch students complain about the internationalization. That, for instance, that so many foreigners are now coming into the Maastricht or to the university that it also becomes a problem for, or let's say, the traditional Dutch student culture to sustain. So, for instance, the associations, they have they're struggling with the recruitment, as there are more foreign students now who, of course, do not understand the, let's say, concept of these associations or fraternities. Did you, when the internationalization policy, was this also something that was thought about, that maybe this might cause a struggle for the traditional cultures of the Dutch students?
I wouldn't call it a struggle. I mean, it's clearly, if you have a university that's more international than others, there's more diversification needed. That means, of course, the student association play a very important role in their traditional function for the Dutch student population, but we feel there has to be something on top of that also to cater to the international community. We are in good contact with the student association, and they have made efforts also to reach out, but as you probably know, the Dutch type of student association is quite unique. And for example, if you go to Germany, student associations are known as politically extremely conservative and reactionary. That's why German students hesitate to join a typical Dutch student association. So I think diversification is important. There is a very important place for the student association to cater to the Dutch students and those international students who want to move into this Dutch culture. But we believe we need to also have something of a student association or a student club for the international students, because what these student associations provide is a bit of a home away from home, your own cultural and social group, and we also need to do something for these almost 50% of international students to have such a home away from home in a similar form.
But then, of course, the problem is then that a lot of the international students, they do not integrate then, and maybe there's not the platform for integration, but there is a segregation between Dutch students and also international students. Is there maybe a policy of the university that's
there's even a national policy. As you know, we are now offering Dutch languages courses free of charge in our language center to every foreign bachelor student. And I think significant amounts of new students are taking these Dutch language courses, which show that they realize there is a need for integration. So I'm quite happy with that. Secondly, we are involved in a national program called Make It in the Netherlands, where we are trying to, and one of the programs in there is called Breaking the Bubble, which tries to really link Dutch and international students closer together. For example, through activities such as Mix and Mingle, or we're talking now what we call an international center where Dutch and international students can meet. And we are, as Maastricht University, running a pilot on behalf of all Dutch universities, which is called the Buddy Project, which means from starting this fall, we will link, and in beginning this is only international bachelor students from outside Europe, with Dutch students to really introduce them to Dutch culture and Dutch traditions, and to avoid and to minimize the culture shock. There's a lot of things going on, and I'm quite convinced that with these measures we will really bridge this gap that we have seen historically.
Well, we've almost reached the end of our interview, but then what can we expect then, or our students, what can we expect for the next academic year? Are there any plans or any changes?
Well, for the next academic year, I think we will see the first initiatives of innovation of the educational process. I think we'll continue on trying to work on improving the quality of education. We take, for example, the results of the national student commentaries very serious. If we need to improve library facilities and so on. But we also will see with the expansion of our campus, we will start our first initiatives on the so-called Tapijnkazerne, where we will move into the first two buildings, particularly buildings where we start new educational activities. And I think I'm quite optimistic that we will see in the next academic year the opening of the International Student Center, International Student Club. We also will continue to recruit top researchers and educators. As you probably know, we have started with so-called university professors, which are top-notch scientists and educators that are bridging the different faculties and also the different initiatives. So I'm sure it's going to be a very exciting year.
Well, Professor Dr. Martin Poel, thank you very much for the interview. This has been Professor Dr. Martin Poel on a recap of the academic year.